The San Francisco 49ers just made a sneaky good signing, and it's a very interesting play and will have downstream effects for this 49ers roster. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the new signing, the details, and what this could mean for other players on this 49ers offense. If you're new here, I'm Nate, and we are talking the San Francisco 49ers. Make sure that you're subscribed if you want to be a part of this conversation. Videos, comments section, community posts, you name it. We're talking 49ers all the time in this community. The sneaky good news is this. The San Francisco 49ers just reached an agreement, and my screen's not up, with Jauan Jennings on a 2-year, $15.4 million deal, including $10.5 million guaranteed. And you might be like, wait a second, I already saw that. What's the sneaky good news? I'm going to tell you about that. You might also be wondering, what does this mean for guys like Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel? And of course, first-round draft pick Ricky Pearsall. I'm going to talk to you about that as well. But first, it's sneaky good news for a lot of reasons. Reason number one, obviously this team thrives in a system where a lot of guys get a good chunk of looks and no one guy gets all of the looks. When you look at a guy like Jauan Jennings, to be able to lock him down and pay him good money to play the position he's in as a WR3, but kind of as your fifth target in this line of incredible offensive skill players, I think this is a wonderful opportunity to have a solid, trustworthy WR3 who made big plays last season in big moments last season. Jauan Jennings will keep teams accountable. You can't just double up on one guy because there are too many weapons on this offense. And of course, if you're trying to double up on anybody, you're going down the list and you're working your way down there. Jauan Jennings is down toward the bottom of that list in terms of who you're trying to scheme against, right? So here's a guy who we really believe in enough to put $10.5 million guaranteed on him, and you better believe that that says something positive about what he's going to do this season. I'm very optimistic about that. He was number two. That was just point number one. Number two, he was a win away from potentially being the Super Bowl MVP. I think everybody and their mom has been talking about this. That's out there, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but you got the trick play to Christian McCaffrey. You got the touchdown itself that he had on his own. That was a pretty impressive. So that's 2 touchdowns he was involved in for the Super Bowl, and that's 14 out of 22 points or something like that. So absolutely big positive news coming from this guy here. Number 3. You're covered now. So in the event that the Ayuk deal somehow goes really weird and south and, Ayuk has some beef and doesn't show up to training camp or something like that, if something like that happens, I don't think it's going to happen, but if something like that happens, you have this guy who can step in. And then you have Pearsall who can step into his position. So there's coverage there. We are very strong in the wide receiving room right now. That Super Bowl game, number 4, was super close, and it showed you the nerves of steel that this guy has. It shows you what this guy is made of because he made big plays in a super tight game full of turnovers. When you look at the turnovers, you have your star running back who rarely ever gives up the ball, and he has a big turnover at kind of early on in the game when we were really starting to build offensive momentum at the very beginning. So, this is great that this guy shows up in a big game and only gets 5 total targets, but turns it into 4 incredibly powerful and meaningful plays. I think one of them was kind of like a 7-yard catch or something, but everything else was just massive. So love that. Big fan of that. Of course, number 5, he is not the greatest wide receiver in football. He's not a Brandon Ayuk, right? And I'm not saying Brandon Ayuk is the best wide receiver in football either. I'm just saying in general. He's not even a Brandon Ayuk. He's not a Deebo Samuel, okay? He's a different guy, and I want to accept that. But is there a better wide receiver 3 in football? I don't know. That's an interesting question. We should do a video on that. Who's the best WR3 in football right now? That's a really interesting one. Because I think you could kind of go with one of those teams who doesn't make me an older former first round. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. That's an interesting one. Is there a better WR3 in football? I'm not sure there is, man. That's pretty exciting. When you think about what he did in the Super Bowl, that's pretty powerful and special. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Number 6, he's a blocker. He's a solid blocker. He's a gamer. He can go games without a lot of looks. This is a very, very special skill, especially around wide receivers. He can go a lot of games without a bunch of looks. And then when he's needed in big moments, he still makes the play. What happened earlier on in the season happened all the way it happened in Green Bay, or against Green Bay. It happened in the Super Bowl. So, man, gotta love that about this guy. And he's out there, he's a gamer, and he's ready to pop off when it matters. I love that, because wide receivers, traditionally, I'm thinking about guys who just, throw their hands down when the ball doesn't come their way, and he's out there blocking and recognizes that aspect of the game and how important it is. I love that. Number seven, lucky number 7. Good for him, man. This is great. Hats off to Jauan Jennings. He deserves this. He deserves the recognition. And, I was feeling positive about the signing. I was like, oh, right, when I got the notification, and then, I saw the numbers. I'm like, 10 mil guaranteed. All right, that's great. But hats off to the guy. Watching him on social media and just seeing how happy he is, how proud he is for himself and for his family. And, man, that just makes you feel good inside to just be like, yeah, you know what? Good for you, man. You did it. You did that. You earned that. You were a 7th-round draft pick, and you have $10.5 million guaranteed coming your way, maybe up to $15 million. So that's fantastic. The Athletic had a great article on it. I wanted to pull it up here, and then I realized, oh yeah, I can't, because it's behind a paywall, so I can't show it to you, but I'm going to read you a little snippet here. As the team's best blocking wide receiver, one of its best separators, and a gamer who might have been close to winning Super Bowl MVP honors, Jennings had made a strong case that he was worth more. And San Francisco agreed, adding an extra year of team control in the process of rewarding him. Excuse me. He entered college at Tennessee as a quarterback before transitioning to receiver. Jennings may not be as heavily used in the pass game as Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, but last season's playoffs highlighted his importance to the 49ers. Jennings' run blocking attitude here is a huge deal that rubs off on the rest of the team, and he's consistently made huge catches. This is a veteran San Francisco wants in the room with rookie wideout Ricky Pearsall. Love this take from The Athletic. Love it. Absolutely love it. Hey, look, question of the day before I get into what this means for other guys on this roster. How do you feel about this signing, FTTB? How are you feeling about it? Are you as hyped about this as I am? And excuse me, I'm too excited. Am I blowing this out of proportion? Am I getting too excited about this? Or should I be this excited about it? Let me know how you're feeling about it. Maybe let's say on like the top end, like you're pumped about it, or maybe at the middle level, you're happy with it, you're indifferent about it, or maybe you're disappointed with it. I don't know who's disappointed about it, but somebody out there is going to say they're disappointed about it because we didn't win the Super Bowl, and I've seen that argument at least 500 times. Okay, what does this mean for guys like Ayuk, Deebo, and of course Ricky Pearsall? Firstly, on number 1, I already mentioned his coverage for Brandon Ayuk, but I saw an interesting point in that Athletic article that this could actually open up a deal and free up a little bit of cap space because they didn't have to go that rookie tender route. So that's an interesting take on there. Contracts are complicated. I don't pretend to act like I know everything about the contract situation, but I trust the Athletic when they say this could open up an opportunity for Ayuk's deal to get a little bit easier to get over the line. That would be amazing. Number 2, if your long-term goal is to get rid of Deebo next year and Shanahan's offense, this excuse me, this could be serviceable. Not a like-for-like replacement for Deebo, but in Shanahan's offense, I can see Jennings, as stout as he was last season, in the moments that mattered, I could see him being a much bigger player, getting a lot more targets, and getting an opportunity to showcase his actual talent on a more serious note here. Because I think this guy could be a WR2 on a lot of teams. All right, Ricky Pearsall, number 3. I think on one hand, Ricky Pearsall is going to have some negatives, which is going to be he's probably going to lose some snaps this season. From what we probably would have thought. The 49ers probably already saw this going this way, and they assumed they were going to get this deal done, and this is where they see Jennings going next year. The amount of money guaranteed, it's not crazy wide receiver money, but WR3, you gotta respect it. So I'm guessing that this means that Ricky Pearsall is not going to get a lot of looks this season. I could be wrong, but I'm just guessing that that's what that probably means. And that means that Jennings is going to get a lot of looks this season. Probably not a huge increase from last season, but we'll see. Who knows? But on the bright side, this takes a load off of the rookie's plate. I think Slick Rick can go out there now, and he's got this huge cover in Jauan Jennings. He can go out there. He can do his thing when he has the opportunity, but he doesn't have to feel any pressure to be the guy because he has a whole year potentially before any other moves are happening in the wide receiving room that he can play off of, right? The other positive is if things don't work out with Ayuk, which again seems wild, he kind of moves up into that Jauan Jennings kind of level or role for this season. Look, let me know in the comments what you think. How are you feeling about this signing? I'm super pumped about it, but I'm sure you're not surprised by that. As always, Faithful, what a time to be alive.